The most important thing that you can understand as a woman is that your confidence, humility, and assertiveness can all coexist together. One does not have to live without the other. It's easy because of people pleasing, overcompensating, and childhood trauma for you to think that being assertive is mean. For you to feel bad after you stand firm on a boundary that you have set because you are trying to protect yourself. There comes a point in time in life where you can't look for everybody else to have the same mind state or the same perspective or the same heart as you. If you're anything like I used to be when I was partying and clubbing and doing things to put myself in crazy situations, I would always use the term so loosely that God got my back, God has me, God will protect me. And yes, that is absolutely true, but God also says to guard your heart. So guarding your heart means that you also have to protect yourself and not place yourself in situations that will cause you harm. So when you see that something could potentially or possibly hurt you, it's always going to be a possibility for everything. You can never say never. Okay, you don't hyper focus or hyper fixate on the possibility to where you try to control things or you sabotage yourself out of things or you become too stern or too hard or too rigid to where you can't receive anything. No, but you do need to be aware of the possibility and what the percentage rate of that possibility is within what you are in. Okay, so I'm gonna break it down like this. If you know that there is someone around you who is not the most aware of themselves and of others, you have to measure their awareness and what percentage rate is it at. In what ways do they consider you? And in what ways do they not consider you? Then from there, you need to put up a wall of protection because you know that this person doesn't even consider themselves in this way. So I know that they're not going to have empathy in this aspect or in this area or within this situation to consider me. So I need to make sure I'm setting the proper boundaries to protect myself, not just saying, oh, it's okay, I'm going to go along with whatever they say, or I'm going to get them to agree to something that I know that they cannot commit to because I've seen how they commit to things, or I see that they lack in this area, or I see that they are not aware in this area. You cannot expect someone to commit to something that is not within their capacity to commit to. And then when they fall short on what you know they could not live up to, you get upset with them. That is where guarding your heart comes in, because you need to be paying attention and being aware of what is around you, what you are entertaining, and what you are allowing to show up for you in your life. You have to measure people without condemning them or calling them everything less than a child of God because they're human. There are areas in your life where you don't even have the highest capacity to handle what it is that person needs or requires. And that's okay. That doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It just means there's more growth that needs to happen within yourself. And maybe going through that lesson of, dang, I couldn't show up for them in that way because I didn't have the capacity to, will help you get to that place for the next person, the next situation, or just for the future in general. From my own experience and being around other women, it becomes, and this can also be applied to men as well, but I know that my target audience is women because I'm a woman myself and I can speak into them into a different type of way because I'm a woman. You get what I'm saying? But a man can also pull and take from these messages as well, so don't think that you're left out if you're a man who is watching this. A lot of the times, because of how we look at humility, we don't think confidence and humility can coexist. We think it's either we have to dumb ourselves and dim ourselves down all the way to the ground, or you have to be super cocky and unbalanced when it comes to confidence. Both of them can coexist. They don't have to live separately or apart. They can be within a marriage. When your humility and your confidence are married, you are able to walk into places where there are other people who are doing just as well as you are, and you don't have to try to pump yourself up to be better than them or to look down on them. You acknowledge them and you give credit where credit is due for what they have done or who they are in general, despite their accolades. And your confidence comes in when you walk into a room with people who may even be doing better than you, and you don't dim yourselves down or put yourself underneath them because they may be elevating in a different way than you. Your confidence and humility can coexist. Your assertiveness can also be within this marriage. Your assertiveness comes in when you are in situations where you have to set boundaries and stand on that. For example, you can be around somebody who has accomplished a little bit more than you because they've just been in the game longer or they had a different type of strategy, and you're still elevating and growing. Not to knock your success, you're still successful as well, but they're just on a different level, right? You can be in a room with them, and because you're in a room with them, they're asking you to do something that is outside of your character, something that you don't do, and to operate in a way that does not align with who you are. Your assertiveness, your confidence, and your humility can come in and be used in that situation. When you say, hey, thank you for the invitation, but that's just not me. So I'm going to choose not to attend. But I thank you so much for inviting me. Okay, I thank you so much for the extension of that invitation. Yada, yada, yada. You get what I'm saying? You're confident. You didn't dim yourself down to say, oh my gosh, I have to do this because this is such and such and so and so. And they've done this and they've accomplished this. And oh my gosh. And you did not become unbalanced in your humility by dimming yourself down to say, oh, the nice thing, the kind thing for me to do is to go anyway, knowing that it jeopardizes my character and my integrity just to appease this person because I don't want them to feel bad. So your assertiveness is standing on that boundary you set for yourself. Your confidence is knowing that you are not beneath anybody. And your humility is knowing that you are not above anybody else. So your humility, your confidence, and your assertiveness can coexist within the same space. But what happens is a lot of the times we are still operating in people pleasing or overcompensating to the point where we feel bad for setting standards and boundaries and standing on it. We feel bad for having confidence because we feel that we are being cocky. We feel bad for being humble because we're being humble in a way that means diminishing ourselves and tearing ourselves down and placing ourselves in a low position in order to appease God. When God said that you are abundant, when God said you are an heir to his throne, and he is the Almighty, and he is the Omega, and he is high. So why would he want you to have to dim yourself down and make yourself low and diminish yourself and talk down to yourself in order to be upright and righteous? That's not God. Just like God doesn't want you in poverty in order to please him. He wants you abundant, but what he does not want you to do is to put people down because you came into wealth, or to treat people less than because you have material things. That's when it's not divine. That's when you're unbalanced. But you have to know that you can be confident, you can be humble, and you can be assertive, and they all can be in balance. I used to feel bad, okay? Real bad, for setting standards, for setting boundaries, for standing on it, because what people typically do is they'll show like disappointment, or they really want that thing from you, so they'll throw like a little, oh, like it's human nature to try to get your way. That's just human nature. We can't continue to question everything and be like, well, why are people like this? Well, why is this that way? To the point where it literally bothers us and depresses us that some people are set up the way that they are because we're not set up that way. So we wish that they were the same as us, and we try to change them. Accept human nature and people for what they are, and life will become easier for you. Relinquish control to the Most High, and things will begin to make sense to you. Okay? You can't continue to ask why. And this is not saying that you cannot question God or you cannot be inquisitive or intrigued about how things work. You have to accept human nature for what it is. Human nature is going to test the waters and try to test the boundaries to get what they want. And that's not always a bad thing. That's how people end up doing these things that we never heard of. That's how people end up getting into places where people told them no 1,000 times. They tested the boundary and the limits. They weren't afraid of being told no. They weren't afraid of being turned down. They weren't afraid of testing the limits and pushing the boundaries. So that's human nature, and there's nothing wrong with that. It becomes a problem when you put up a wall of protection for yourself, or if somebody sets a boundary for themselves in order to guard their heart, and you continue to test the waters and push the limit, knowing that that is something that they need to protect themselves. And you're just being selfish in your nature to get what you want, knowing that you gaining what it is that you desire from this person is going to hurt them and set them back. So testing the limits and the boundaries is not a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when you're trying to manipulate something into being what you desire, when you know that it will have an adverse effect, a negative effect on them. It only becomes a problem when people push your boundaries and are operating in human nature, when you fold on your boundary, knowing that if this person gets what they want from you, it will delay you and set you back, and also hurt yourself because you're taking your guard down from your heart. Now, am I saying you can't get in a relationship? Am I saying you can't trust people? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you know there are some situations to which if you let them get what they want, you know that it is going to go against your integrity. It's going to go against your character. It's going to go against what God has for you. It's going to go against everything that you have worked for, and it will tear down your household. You know what that is. You know the difference between, okay, I can trust this person, and I know that they have my best interest at heart, and they're not perfect. They're still human, so I'm not going to hold them to a standard that is unrealistic because I don't want to get hurt, but I know that I can trust this person. You know the difference between that and they only trying to get this from me. I done told them 1,000 times how this make me feel, how it's affecting me, where I'm trying to go in my life, and they continue to try to get me to come down on this boundary, knowing that it could hurt me. You know the difference. So make sure that you're using your discernment and your awareness to pick up on what is what. Because a lot of the times we're walking out here like, I'm not trying to get hurt by nobody. I'm not trying to go relive my past. I'm not trying to have anything negative happen to me. So you keep this guard up on your heart so thick that you don't let anybody in, that you don't come down on any type of boundary, because you're trying to stay in a form of control, and really you're missing out on opportunity, and you're missing out on great relationships. You get what I'm saying? So you have to use your discernment and your awareness to know which is which within the situation that you are in. Test the spirit by the spirit, okay? Be praying on it and asking God to reveal not only your heart, but the hearts of the people that are around you. Within life, you have to have a relationship with the Most High. If you don't have a relationship with the Most High, it is going to be extremely hard for you to stay steadfast and focused on anything, because anybody can tell you something and you're going to go with what they say, because you are placing everybody that you meet as your source, because you don't have a source. You haven't connected. You haven't became intimate with your source. You don't have a relationship where you talk to God. And I'm not just saying that you have to read your Bible all day. Should you read it? Yes. It's the blueprint to life. It's going to tell you how people think, how human nature operates, how you should operate, and how you should and how you can dominate in this world through principle. So you definitely need to be reading your Bible, but don't beat yourself up because you're not reading it every second of every single day. You pray without ceasing. So praying without ceasing is you stepping outside and you're talking to God about your day. You're talking to God about where you should go. You're asking God to interrupt your day. You're asking God to test your spirit. You're asking God to reveal your heart. Like, you're including him in what is going on in your day. Like, God, I had this conversation earlier. I'm not sure about it. Can you please give me clarity about this, that, and the third? Check my heart if I'm misinterpreting what they were saying to me because of past trauma or things I have not let go of. Lord, help me forgive. That's praying without ceasing. Praying without ceasing is not you just going to war in the spirit for an hour or two at 12 o'clock to fight spiritual warfare that might come up against your day. Is it equally as important? Yes. Should you do it? Yes. But you will continue to pray as you step out into your day as well. That's praying without ceasing. You're praying in your posture. You're praying in the way that you step outside. You're praying in the way that you think. You're praying in the way that you operate. So, moral of the story, lesson of the day, your humility, confidence, and assertiveness can all coexist. It's called balance. So in this moment, if there is a situation in your life where you feel like all hell is breaking loose, you don't understand why it went the way you went, you're constantly feeling suppressed, you need to sit back and sit down and see where you are unbalanced. Are you being too humble and too kind and understanding in this situation to the point where you're constantly tearing down yourself in order to appease the other person because you're being humble and you don't want them to feel bad? Are you being confident in an unhealthy way because you are really hurt by something and you feel like the other person is trying you, so now you feel like you have to be cocky to show your confidence? Are you showing your confidence in an unhealthy way because you don't feel good enough, because you don't feel worthy, because you don't feel valuable? So when you step into the room with other people, you feel like you have to talk about them and you have to tear them down and you have to gossip in order to feel good about yourself. Are you being assertive in an angry way because you're tired of being suppressed, you're tired of being misunderstood, you're tired of being unseen and unheard, so now you feel like you have to be angry and boss up in a cocky or a violent way in order to be assertive? In what way are you unbalanced, and what can you do to fix that? What can you do to change that? And it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. So maybe what you'll start to do is say, you know what? I know that this relationship is no good for me, so I will not continue to allow someone to only invite me over past a certain type of hour. I'm not going to no longer accept excuses that they're busy or that they don't have the time in the day and feel bad because they really want to see me and this is the only time they have, so I should just lower my standard to appease them. Maybe I'll stop doing that. And I'll also understand them and say, you know what? I understand that you have a busy schedule. I understand that, you still want to see me. But in order to respect my boundaries and my limits, you know what? Let's see what your schedule is so that we can schedule something for an earlier time. Let's go to a boxing class together. Or let's go out to eat. Or let's do this, that, and third. You get what I'm saying? That's your humility coming in, because you're giving them an opportunity to show you what their true intentions are. You're confident in knowing your worth and saying, I'm not a do-girl that's going to answer you at 11 o'clock in the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just going to be available to you at that time because that's when you want to be bothered with me. And you know that I'll be available at that time because I've been available every other time. So by setting that standard and that boundary, it's you being assertive. It's you being confident in knowing your value and your worth. Okay? So it's up to you to identify where you are unbalanced and what you can do to begin to change that. It is all choice at the end of the day, and it is ultimately up to you. God wants you to meet him halfway. He will not hand you everything, nor will he bless foolishness. So it is up to you to identify in what areas of your life are you being a fool, so that you can exit out of that and make a choice with your free will to meet God halfway, so that you can live in the way that you see yourself in your highest mind when you're daydreaming about how life will be. As always, I pray that you are leaving this video way better than you came, and I'm so happy that you made it here, and I pray to see you next video. If you are interested in seeing, like, my outfit for the day, or, little cute aesthetics and vibes, make sure that you go follow me on Instagram. And if you are in need of, a daily motivation, a quick word, or a quick pick-me-up in your day, or just to feel seen, heard, and valued, make sure that you go to my TikTok, because that's where my short form content is. And if you just like hearing me speak and you need the long form content and you need it to be broke down in details how I'm doing it here, then make sure that you stay on YouTube. Remember, you are called, you are chosen, you are enough, and you can do everything that God has called you to. He would not call you to it if he has not already seen you through it. He would not call you to it if he has not already prepared the room for you. He would not have called you to it if there was not already protection set in place for everything that would try to come up against you. The weapon will form so that people will talk about you. The weapon will form so you might lose your job. The weapon will form so it might seem that finances are coming in as quick, but it will not prosper. So do not get caught up in the temporary delay for an everlasting overflow. Okay? I will see you next time, and I pray that you are having an amazing day.